you gave a few points in the book on like the primary purpose for marriage and that people miss it. You talked about it there, companionship being one of them. What is that all encompassing?
Well, you got physical, you got emotional and mental and spiritual. And so I think you basically are coming together to say, we want to do life in all of those categories together. One of the things kind of tying that in with holiness that I think you mentioned, which is often forgotten, marriage means I'm going to be elevating the interest of the other over myself. And I actually had somebody ask me recently, they said, why is it that couples, they'll walk the aisle with this view of marriage that it's going to be wonderful, and then within a few months they stop pursuing each other and the joy begins to fade? And I think it comes back to, we enter marriage a lot of times with this idea that I'm going to be the one, and Oscar, you mentioned this part, I'm going to be getting a lot out of it. Instead of going into marriage thinking, I'm going to do everything I can to please and uplift by a choice of the will, my spouse. And I even think about that with the pursuit part. I had a guy come to me just recently and said, hey, how come we're not pursuing each other? We've only been married a year. So we were like walking down the aisle, and we were hot to trot, man. It was like, hey, she's looking good, and I'm he's the best he's ever going to look. He's been working out, and he's tanned and bronzed up.
It's all downhill from there.
It is. Especially, she had 5 hours on her hair alone. And he said, but we got married, went on the honeymoon, and immediately it was like the intimacy just went boom. The romance went boom. He said, what happened? And so we began to talk, and quickly he realized he had not been putting her interest above his own.
Yeah.
So he goes into marriage, all of us guys do it, right? And we're thinking one thing. We're thinking it's honeymoon, but we're forgetting that our wife is an emotional creature. Yeah. And she's desiring emotional care. She wants to know that she's loved and that she's beautiful in your eyes. And so foreplay really starts even early on in the morning, with the woman's heart. Conversely, we sat down together, and then she began to point out that maybe she hadn't taken his desires and needs into consideration. And she admitted, oh my goodness, I haven't been thinking about him and what he likes and what he desires and the responsiveness I can show him. And it was an interesting moment that after only a year of marriage, a couple was able to turn the corner and say, from this point forward, I'm going to think in my mind, what do you need? What do you enjoy? What is it that makes you tick as a woman? And then conversely for the man. And that really began to change the way they viewed their friendship.
It's the Philippians 2 dynamic, right?
That's it. Yep.
Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than himself. Yeah. Let each of you look out not only for his own interests, but also for the interests of others. And then he ties it in there with the mind of Christ, who became a servant.
This video is part of the Living Waters podcast. To watch full episodes and explore more content that equips you in your faith, visit livingwaters.tv. You can listen to the full episode titled on the screen for free on all major podcast platforms.